Okay, let us crank up the alarm clocks, switch off the snooze buttons, and fire up the midnight oil. Because today, we are diving headfirst into the ultimate human mystery. Are you a dazzling morning person who rises with the sun, all sparkles and protein shakes? Or are you a glorious night owl who thrives in the mystical land of midnight snacks and existential crises? Get ready for a journey that will involve body clocks, science, extremely questionable breakfast choices, and maybe, just maybe, the embarrassing story of that one time you tried to become a morning person with the help of motivational cat videos and 7 cups of coffee. Welcome to XQ, Quick Funny Explanations, the channel where we make life's weirdest questions so simple your brain can eat them for breakfast or dinner or whatever meal you feel like, because honestly, time is an illusion, and so are normal sleep schedules. Let us start with a pop quiz. No studying required. When your alarm goes off in the morning, do you A, spring out of bed with the energy of a caffeinated squirrel, ready to seize the day and do yoga in your living room before anyone else is even conscious? Or B, hit snooze so many times your phone files for a restraining order, only emerging from your blanket cocoon when you absolutely must, possibly hissing at the sunlight like a disgruntled vampire? Congratulations, you have just identified your chronotype, which is basically science's fancy way of saying, what kind of human are you when left alone with a clock? The truth is, this morning person versus night owl thing is not just about preference or what time your favorite bakery opens. It is about your body's natural rhythms, coded deep in your DNA and officially called your circadian rhythm. That is right, you have a built in biological clock, like a little time obsessed gnome living inside your brain's hypothalamus, constantly shouting, "It is time to wake up. It is time to eat. It is time to Google why you cannot sleep at 3 a.m. again." This clock regulates not only your sleep, but your hormones, your mood, your metabolism, and your ability to not yell at your toaster before 10 a.m. But wait, it gets better. Science says there's not just two options, like a choose your own adventure book with only two endings. There are actually three, maybe even more, chronotypes, if you count the people who claim they are both morning and night people, which is honestly suspicious and probably means they are running on pure adrenaline and questionable life choices. You have larks, who naturally wake up early and are annoyingly productive before breakfast, owls, who come alive just as the world is winding down, and the mysterious hummingbirds, who float somewhere in between, which sounds cute until you realize it means they are only half awake at all times. Now let us get real. You might be asking, why am I like this? Why do I turn into a pumpkin at 9 p.m.? Or conversely, write my best poetry at 2:37 a.m. while eating leftover lasagna? Here is where we blame genetics, because it is always satisfying to blame our ancestors for modern problems. Studies say your chronotype is partly inherited, thanks to tiny bits of DNA with names like PR3 that sound like rejected robot sidekicks. If your mom was an early riser and your dad was a night owl, you might have inherited a genetic tug of war that explains why you are always a little tired and very confused. But it is not just your DNA. Age plays a sneaky role too. Kids are often little morning larks, popping out of bed at unholy hours. Teenagers, though, shift into night owl territory, which is why every high schooler thinks it is logical to start homework at midnight, and every adult who lives with them slowly loses their will to live. As you age, you often shift back toward mornings, which might explain why your granddad wakes up at 5 a.m. just to stare at his tomatoes. Now, the world is built for morning people. Blame the Industrial Revolution, or whoever decided that meetings should start at 8 a.m., or whoever invented daylight savings time, which is basically a government sanctioned way to mess with your brain. Morning people are statistically more likely to be promoted, get good grades, and appear on motivational posters doing sunrise jogs. Meanwhile, night owls get branded as lazy, moody, or secretly Batman, depending on who is judging. But do not worry, night creatures, because research also shows you are more creative, more likely to take smart risks, and better at solving puzzles after dark. You are basically the reason we have 24-hour pizza delivery and late-night memes. So, what happens when the world does not fit your rhythm? Forcing a night owl to become a morning person is like trying to convince a cat to do your taxes. It is technically possible, but involves a lot of confusion and probably some screaming. But science says there are ways to nudge your clock if you want or need to shift. For morning people forced onto night shifts or owls wanting to catch that sunrise productivity wave, it is all about light, routine, and tricking your brain into cooperating. Start with light exposure. Your circadian rhythm is obsessed with sunlight. It is why you feel like a potato in winter and a hyperactive puppy in July. Morning people thrive because their brains get a big hit of natural light, which tells their bodies to start producing all the right hormones, like cortisol and serotonin, instead of whatever it is that makes you feel like a zombie. If you want to shift earlier, get outside as soon as you wake up. If you want to stay up later, use bright light in the evening and avoid it in the morning. But maybe do not use your phone as a nightlight unless you want your dreams to be sponsored by TikTok. Routine is your friend, even if you hate commitment. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even on weekends, yes, I am sorry, help set your internal clock like a German train schedule. If you are a night owl who wants to shift, do it slowly, like 10 to 15 minutes earlier each night, not all at once like a New Year's resolution that will die by January 2nd. Avoid caffeine late in the day unless you are collecting loyalty points at your local coffee shop. Do not eat a huge meal right before bed unless your goal is to dream about cheese goblins. Wind down with chill activities, not doom scrolling or playing horror video games unless you enjoy adrenaline surges at 1 a.m. Now let us talk strategy. Morning people, congratulations, society was literally built for you. But beware, your productivity superpowers fade fast after lunch, so use your golden hours wisely. Do not waste your best brain power on replying to spam emails or alphabetizing your spice rack. Knock out your hardest tasks early, then enjoy the smug satisfaction of being done by 2 p.m. For night owls, embrace your after-dark genius. If possible, schedule big thinking, creative work, or awkward conversations for the late afternoon or evening when your brain is fully awake and ready to philosophize about the meaning of pizza toppings. And if your boss insists on 7 a.m. meetings, invest in blackout curtains and rehearse your I am awake face in the mirror. But what about all those self-help gurus who scream that the 5 a.m. club is the only path to greatness? Look, there is nothing magical about 5 a.m. unless you are a rooster. Studies show that trying to force your chronotype rarely sticks long-term and can actually make you more tired, cranky, and likely to buy self-help books at 3 a.m. Instead, play to your strengths. If you are a lark, plan your life so you can do epic things in the morning. If you are an owl, lean into your late-night powers. And if you are a hummingbird, enjoy your ability to survive in literally any time zone. Now, before you blame your inability to get up for early yoga on your chronotype, remember that lifestyle matters too. Bad sleep habits, too much caffeine, stress, and that never-ending one more episode spiral can sabotage even the most naturally gifted lark or owl. The real secret is less about the clock and more about listening to your body, figuring out when you feel your best, and organizing your life to match. And if that means breakfast at noon and productivity at midnight, well, who decided when breakfast even is anyway? So, what are the perks? Morning people tend to be more optimistic, better at following rules, and less likely to send regrettable texts at 2 a.m. Night owls, though, are linked to higher intelligence, more creativity, and a slightly rebellious streak that makes life interesting. The world needs both. After all, someone has to invent things at midnight, and someone else has to test them at dawn. Think of humanity as one giant relay team, passing the productivity baton back and forth across the clock. In the end, whether you are the type who rises with the birds or howls at the moon, the most important thing is to get enough sleep, love your unique rhythm, and never feel guilty about not fitting into someone else's schedule. The universe did not design us all to be the same, and that is why breakfast burritos exist at 10 p.m. and coffee is available 24 hours a day. Respect your inner clock, set boundaries with your alarm, and if all else fails, blame science, your genes, and the inventor of daylight savings time for any and all morning mishaps. So, next time someone asks if you are a morning person or a night owl, hit them with the facts, the wit, and maybe a reference to the brain gnome living in your hypothalamus. Celebrate your inner lark, owl, or hummingbird, and build your life around the times when you are most alive. Because at the end of the day, or night, Your chronotype is not just about sleep, it is about embracing the awesomeness of being you whenever you wake up. If you laughed, learned, or just realized you have been blaming your ancestors for your sleep habits, drop your chronotype in the comments. Smash that subscribe button like your snooze alarm, and join us for more fast, funny, and genius level explanations right here on XQ. Quick, funny explanations. Now go forth, nap strategically, and remember, time is a social construct, but breakfast is forever.